The real estate market is a very popular topic right now, and it's got a lot of homeowners worried, especially after what they experienced back in 2008. There's certainly no shortage of opinions on which direction the market is heading, but we're going to take a look at the Medford, Oregon real estate market, look at the data right now, and determine whether or not this market is tanking. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Brian Simmons here with eXp Realty in Southern Oregon. It is March 8th, and I am so happy to answer this question that I've been getting so frequently, which is the Medford, Oregon real estate market tanking? We're going to take a look at the data. We're going to compare it to last year, and I'm going to give you the surprising answer to how your home values are being affected. If you could do me a quick favor and just click that like button, hit the subscribe icon, and share this video with anybody you know looking to buy or sell real estate in Southern Oregon, I would very much appreciate that. Now, let me give you a quick update on how the housing market is looking across all of Southern Oregon before we dive into Medford specifically. For Jackson and Josephine counties of Southern Oregon, looking at single-family residential homes, we have 802 active single-family residential listings on the market today. 95 new listings hit the market within the last week, 66 price changes, 25 came back on the market, 69 went pending, which is down a little bit, 64 closed, and 39 were either expired, withdrawn, or canceled. Okay, and that all brings us to about 13 weeks worth of inventory if we were to look at just a snapshot of the 1 week, which is basically the same as we were at last week. So that 95 listings is quite a bit, and I'm thinking that's primarily because people tend to say, hey, you know what, let's list our house on the first of the month, and March 1st is one of those dates where it kind of, in a lot of people's minds, marks the beginning of the spring season. And so I think that was probably what we saw there with that influx of new listings, is a lot of people just saying, we'll hit the market on March 1st. Pending activity, though, was down for the fourth straight week in a row, and that was pretty surprising given the time of year. The reason for that, I think, is pretty obvious, and that's that mortgage rates have gone up very, very sharply in that same amount of time. So clearly, buyers are waiting until rates come back down, and there hasn't been quite as much activity over the last 4 weeks because of those rates. I really do feel like, though, if we can get any relief on those rates, if we can get them back from 7 down into the lower 6s or even under 6, we're going to see a massive influx of buyers come into the market, and there's going to be all this pent-up demand that's just released into the market, and we're going to see a ton of action happening really, really quickly. Now, let's get back to the main question, which is the Medford, Oregon real estate market tanking? There's a couple ways to answer that question, right? We can look at it from a volume standpoint on how many transactions are we closing, how much, the value of real estate is being exchanged. And if we look at that this year versus last year, we're about half, right? So if that was your measure, then yeah, the market's tanking. We're getting half the amount of transactions closed as we did last year. So if that's your measure, then that's your answer. Pretty straightforward. Now let's look at the value side of things. For the value, the data says that the average sold price for January and February, if we were to average those 2 months together, and we look at this year, it was $425,000. Last year, it was $455,000. So the average sold price in Medford for single-family residential homes went down by $30,000 in a year, which is about 6.5%. But does that translate to a 6.5% drop in your home value? From what I can see, the answer to that is no. If you look at specific neighborhoods in Medford and you compare similar homes that sold this year to last year, and I'm talking similar homes, same neighborhood, right next to each other, what did they sell for this year versus last year? It wasn't a significant difference. I looked at a neighborhood in Medford and it had a $602,000 average sale price in a very, very specific neighborhood, only a couple streets in there, so the homes are all very, very similar. This year, the average was 602. Last year, the average was 609. Not a very significant difference. The days on market was almost double, so that's a pretty significant difference, coming in at 38 days. But the price per foot was up 4%. So you look at that data, and it doesn't really tell me that there was a lot of movement anyway, one way or the other. It was just simply that it took a little bit longer to sell those homes. That was pretty conclusive. And I understand 4 homes is not the ideal sample size, but when you look at that, that's the data we have, and it tells us a pretty simple story. I looked at another neighborhood in West Medford, and it had a bigger sample size of about 12 homes to look at this year versus last year. And what we saw there was pretty much the same story, okay? We had an average purchase price this year of just under $400,000, average purchase price last year of just over $400,000. So really, again, not a significant difference. But what we did see in that neighborhood is that the days on market, again, it was up more than double. It was actually closer to triple. Okay, so we were about 65 days on the market in that neighborhood versus last year was about 25 or so. So anyways, definitely some very obvious answers there that the days on market is much, much higher than it was last year. But the values did not really change that much. There's slight decline in both neighborhoods, and that's comparing as much as we can apples to apples. So that begs the question, if the comparable sales don't really support a drop in home values of 6.5%, why did we see a drop in the average sold price of 6.5%? What's going on? What appears to be happening is that buyers are just buying homes that are priced less than they were a year ago. And that doesn't mean that they're targeting the same house and just trying to buy it for less. It means that they're just buying a lower price home than they were a year ago. So think about it. If you're a buyer coming in from out of town somewhere and you have a budget of $2,000 a month, you're going to be buying a home for about $100,000 less than you would be buying this time last year. Okay. And that's just because the mortgage rates went from 4 to 7, right? So that's what I believe is what we're seeing happen. I think we're seeing those buyers come in, and instead of looking at 500,000, they're looking at 400,000. And those are different homes. It's not that they're looking at the same home for 500 that they would have bought at 500. Now they're trying to buy it at 4. It's just they're looking at a totally different neighborhood now. They're looking at a totally different price point now. And that's something that I think is important for everybody to know. So let's answer the question. Is the Medford, Oregon real estate market tanking? I'm going to say no. I don't think so. I see a huge decline in the number of sales. Like we said, volume is absolutely down. Volume is tanking, no question. I see a drop in the average sold price, not a significant one, 6.5%. I mean, you could say that's significant maybe, but what we're not seeing, and this is the great news, we're not seeing a significant drop in home-to-home, direct comparisons last year versus this year, at least in what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing that in the data. I'm not seeing that in my own experience in representing buyers and sellers. I'm seeing homes actually hold their value pretty well, considering the circumstances and considering what I've heard from other areas around the country. So that's what I think about it. I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments below. Go ahead and chime in. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you found this information helpful. Here's another couple of videos for you to check out when you have some time. I think you might really enjoy these. And if there's anything I can do to help you with your home search, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Check out my website, buyingsouthernoregon.com, or give me a call or a text at 541-954-7758. Don't forget to click that like button, hit the subscribe icon, and share this video with anybody you know looking to buy or sell real estate in Southern Oregon. And we'll see you next week.